One of the most surprising twists in Star Wars The Clone Wars was the fall of Barriss Offee. And not only because it conflicted with her established fate and caused yet another major continuity error. In her earlier appearances in the show, Offee was shown to be very mild-mannered, almost passive, taking after her master, the uber-orthodox Luminara Unduli. But at the end of The Clone Wars' final season, she suddenly turned into a surprise antagonist, a cold-blooded killer and terrorist mastermind. It was a hell of a heel turn, and it was never really explained what made Offee undergo such a dramatic personality shift. But there are stories from legends that might help explain her fall, as we'll be discussing in this video.
Attention, Sergeant on deck!
Barriss Offee was apprenticed to Jedi Master and fellow Mirialan Luminara Unduli, one of the most orthodox masters in the Order. Unduli was a bit like Atris from the Old Republic era, if not nearly as judgy and cold. She followed a strict interpretation of the Jedi Code and she emphasized discipline and obedience in her teachings. She was a tough master, but Barriss was a perfect student for her. As a Padawan, Barriss Offee was highly skilled and lived up to her master's expectations of discipline and obedience. She was considered a model Padawan, and had she lived in another time, she would have likely become just like her master. But the galaxy had other plans. In 24 BBY, the Separatist crisis began, and Offee and her master were regularly dispatched to help prevent the secession of planets across the Outer Rim. Unduli and Offee, together with Obi-Wan Kenobi and his apprentice Anakin Skywalker, played a crucial role in ensuring Ancion remained in the Republic in a 22 BBY diplomatic mission. Nonetheless, they were unable to prevent the start of the Clone Wars, which saw Offee made a Jedi commander in the Grand Army of the Republic. Barriss Offee fought in both battles of Geonosis and in many battles besides, including on Felucia, Ilum, and Nadium. During the early war, she typically fought on the front lines, but as the conflict wore on, she became recognized for her exceptional healing abilities. She became one of the Jedi Order's foremost battlefield healers, serving behind friendly lines on Null and other worlds. For most of the war, she was never far from her master, serving alongside her on the front lines, or at least on the same planet when she was assigned to work as a healer. Through it all, Offee watched as the Republic steadily crumbled and the Jedi Order was stretched more and more thinly across the galaxy. She had been taught a strict interpretation of the Jedi Code, one that abhorred violence save when absolutely necessary, and yet her career as a Jedi saw her drafted into leading a very violent war for the sake of the Republic. This later led her to becoming disillusioned with the Republic and the Jedi Order itself. It was a while, however, before this contradiction really got to her, and in both legends and canon, it's never explicitly stated what gave her this push. There's one Legends battle though that we think is a good candidate, the Battle of Drongar. 6 months into the Clone Wars, the Republic and Confederacy clashed over the planet Drongar, a remote world in wild space that, at first glance, might seem unremarkable. It was a humid, unpleasant rainforest world, and its air was full of dangerous spores that could inhibit breathing in sufficient quantities. It had a tiny population and was undeveloped. But Drongar had one resource that was absolutely priceless to both sides: Bota, a healing plant that could provide enormous health benefits for members of every known sentient species. Bota was only found on Drongar, and unless preserved in carbonite, it withered if removed from the planet after a short while, so control of Drongar was the only way either side could have a reliable source of it. Both sides wanted to seize exclusive control of Drongar, both for the sake of their organic troops and to deny it to each other. The Battle of Drongar was long and extraordinarily bloody, and it was different from other Clone Wars battles due to its environmental conditions, which made air combat near impossible and blasters unusable. The battle was fought with slug throwers and vibroblades, with both sides employing large numbers of mercenaries. The use of vibroblades meant that the carnage on Drongar was especially extreme, to the point where the Republic had to bring in a dozen mobile surgical units to help treat the wounded, alongside a number of Medstar-class medical frigates. And that wasn't even enough. The sheer scale of the carnage meant that the Republic's battle surgeons were constantly overwhelmed. Their problems were worsened by those airborne spores we mentioned earlier, which caused wounds to rapidly become infected and routinely clogged up machinery. Barriss Offee was sent into this hellhole in early 20 BBY on her first solo mission, and she was sent in not as a frontline commander, but as a healer. For weeks, she assisted the beleaguered battle surgeons, making and losing many friends. She showed up just in time for the Separatists to get more aggressive in their bid for control of the planet. They started carrying out bombing campaigns, leading to an increase in clone casualties. Things got worse when Republic Mobile Surgical Unit 7 was destroyed due to sabotage, killing one of Barriss's friends and forcing her team to relocate. As she worked to hunt down the saboteur, she became increasingly cynical about the battle and the state of the war, and she also became addicted to Botar after using it to heal herself. This brought her closer to the dark side, but she was able to break the addiction and the dark side's lure before it was too late. Offee eventually rooted out the spy in Republic ranks, and she discovered that it was none other than a member of her own team, a close friend of hers who had sold out the others to the Separatists. The traitor was eliminated, but other developments meant that this didn't matter much. Around this time, the Separatists' bombing campaigns caused the Botar to mutate and lose its medicinal properties altogether. Before long, all the Botar on Drongar was useless. The Republic was able to evacuate 2 metric tons of the good stuff beforehand, but that was all that was left. After 18 months of brutal fighting, both sides evacuated their troops, abandoning Drongar. Barriss Offee was promoted to Jedi Knight after the Battle of Drongar, but by that point, her convictions were rapidly waning. On Drongar, she had seen untold horrors and immeasurable suffering due to the war. She had watched her friends die or betray her, and in the end, it was all for nothing. 18 months of bloodshed had given the Republic precisely 2 tons of Botar and nothing else. The battle was pointless, and as Offee soon realized, so was the entire war. It's not known for sure if Drongar was what radicalized Offee, but we think it's a safe bet. Just a few months later, Barriss Offee masterminded the bombing of the Jedi Temple, which she framed former close friend Ahsoka Tano for. Ahsoka's master, Anakin Skywalker, learned the truth and arrested Barriss just in time to save Ahsoka, but the event nonetheless sent a message to the Jedi Council and the galaxy. Before the tribunal meant to prosecute Ahsoka, Barriss gave the following explanation for her actions. "I did it because I've come to realize what many people in the Republic have come to realize, that the Jedi are the ones responsible for this war. That we've so lost our way that we've become villains in this conflict, that we are the ones that should be put on trial, all of us. And my attack on the temple was an attack on what the Jedi have become, an army fighting for the dark side, fallen from the light that we once held so dear. This Republic is falling. It's only a matter of time." In the context of Drongar, this change in belief makes a lot more sense. She had seen firsthand the categorical failure of the Republic, which had sent so many to die on Drongar, but failed to adequately support them and failed to keep the RMSUs properly supplied, leading to so many long and needless deaths. She had seen firsthand the horrors of the Clone Wars, the war that, as many of her friends on Drongar saw it, had been started by the Jedi Order's intervention on Geonosis. And she had seen firsthand that the Clone Wars only served the interests of the dark side. Barriss Offee was wrong about the Jedi, but she was sure as hell right about the Clone Wars, and she was right about the path the Jedi Order had been led down. So that's our examination of the fall of Barriss Offee. But what do you think? Do you have any alternative explanations? Free to post your thoughts in the comments section below. And as always guys, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.